Welcome to this explainer. If there's one single variable that literally defines the absolute success or total failure of a saltwater aquarium, it's light. It's not just about making your tank look pretty for guests. No, light is the absolute foundation of a thriving reef. It directly shapes coral growth, it dictates that vibrant coloration we all chase, and it plays a massive role in the overall stability of your tank's ecosystem. And that brings us to the ultimate dilemma, right? The question every single reef keeper wrestles with, whether you're sketching out a brand new system or you're finally upgrading your current one. Which lighting is actually best for your reef tank? Because let's be real, there is so much marketing noise out there, it can be incredibly overwhelming to sort through.
So, here's how we're going to break it down today. First, we'll look at the core reef lighting dilemma. Then we dive into our three heavyweight contenders: LED for efficiency and control, T5 for consistent even coverage, and metal halide for that intense shimmer. Finally, we'll wrap up with how to choose your best fit. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the reef lighting dilemma, matching light to life.
Moving right along to Section 2, LED, efficiency and control. Okay, think of the LED as the efficient controller of the bunch. These systems completely dominate the modern hobby, and for good reason. They give you a level of precision that older tech just couldn't even dream of. We're talking about perfectly mapping intensity, dialing in your spectrums, and setting up exact daily light cycles. By mixing cool white, warm white, and utilizing UV or violet channels, you can specifically target exactly what your corals need for photosynthesis. That's what makes those crazy neon colors pop, all while strictly limiting the spectrums you don't want. Now, if you're running a mixed reef, the absolute standout feature here is dimming and multi-channel control. Why? Well, it makes it super easy to gradually acclimate those sensitive corals without completely shocking their system. But wait, there is a massive hidden benefit here too: temperature control. LEDs transfer way less heat into the water. That means your expensive water chiller isn't going to be working overtime just to keep the whole system stable. It's a real game changer. Next up, Section 3, T5, consistent, even coverage. There's a solid reason why so many reefing purists still absolutely swear by fluorescent technology. T5 lighting uses multiple bulbs housed in these highly reflective fixtures, and what that does is produce this beautifully uniform blanket of light across the entire tank. The biggest win here? It drastically cuts down on point source hotspots. Those super concentrated beams of light you sometimes get with LEDs? If you want predictable, really broad coverage, T5s are just incredible. But, okay, we've got to look at the reality of running them day to day. T5s do demand periodic, scheduled bulb replacements, so you can maintain that optimal spectrum. That's a recurring cost you definitely have to factor into your yearly budget. And while they do run cooler than our next contender, they are still going to add a higher ambient heat profile to your tank room than LEDs would. Just something to keep in mind. All right, that brings us to Section 4, metal halide, intense shimmer. If LEDs are the precise controllers, think of metal halides as the raw, intense powerhouse of the reefing world. These are famous for their incredible light penetration. They are absolutely your go-to if you have a really deep tank or if you're running a super demanding SBS-heavy setup where driving par deep down into the water column is just absolutely critical. Oh, and as a bonus, halides give you that classic, highly sought-after natural shimmer effect dancing right there on the sand bed. It looks amazing. But you really have to weigh that raw power against the practical reality. The benefits are clear, right? Maximum punch, deep penetration, dramatic visual shimmer. The drawbacks, though, they're pretty significant. Metal halides run notoriously hot. They accelerate water evaporation, they demand frequent bulb changes, and they require serious ventilation. This is especially true if you live in a warm climate or if your tank is stuffed into a tightly enclosed stand. I mean, it's a great way to heat your living room in December, but maybe not exactly what you want in the middle of July. So, let's pull this all together in Section 5, choosing your best fit. Spoiler alert, there is absolutely no universal silver bullet here. But you can kind of look at this as your cheat sheet. If your top priority is fine-tuning the spectrum, maximizing energy efficiency, and keeping water heat low, especially for a mixed reef, you should really start with LED. If you're looking for a simpler approach that delivers broad, even light distribution, T5 is a fantastic fit. And if your setup demands maximum punch for a deep tank, and you're fully prepared to tackle high heat and ventilation, metal halide is your tool. Now, once you've actually matched the tech to your tank, the work isn't over. Actually, scratch that. It's really just beginning. The single most critical step with any of these lamps is acclimation. You've got to start conservatively. Set the light lower than you think you need, and then just increase the intensity very, very gradually. Use diligent testing and keen observation to dial in your placement and brightness over time. So, what exactly should you be looking for during this acclimation phase? First off, observe the polyp extension. Are the corals opening up? Do they look full and happy? Second, keep an eye on color stability. Are they holding on to those vibrant hues, or are they starting to look a bit brown? And finally, just check their overall tissue health. These natural indicators are going to tell you exactly if your new lighting is dialed in correctly. I absolutely love this specific takeaway from our source material, mostly because it just cuts right through all the marketing hype. Quote, "For most reef keepers, the right answer is the system you can operate consistently, at the spectrum you want, the intensity you can measure, and the temperature stability your tank needs." Consistency is literally the ultimate secret here. It's all about finding the specific system that gives you the spectrum you desire, the intensity you can actually measure, and the exact temperature stability your specific setup demands. Which brings us right to our final thought. Take a step back and really look at your own habits. Consider your willingness to do routine maintenance, and think about your specific tank environment. Ask yourself, which lighting system can you operate most consistently for your reef? Evaluate that honestly, and honestly, you'll have your answer. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will catch you on the next one.